yellow.
Hello.
Hello, happy November. I think we missed the pinch punch first of the month, didn't we?
We did. I can't believe it's November already.
I also can't believe that we're on episode 8.
I know. That's like 2 months of doing the podcast, basically.
Pretty consistent, right?
Yeah.
It's not bad.
So, do you want to begin by explaining your change of voice today?
Well, funny thing happened to me, and I feel like everything I say sounds like a beginning of a sort of a gag from like a stand-up show. But a funny thing happened to me in the shop this week. Someone actually came in and recognised me from my voice, from listening to the podcast before they actually turned up, which is great. That's kind of what we were hoping, more than just your granny and our friends. So that's good. But yeah, my voice might sound a bit different. So I apologise for any throaty sexiness that might obviously drive everybody wild, but that's just me this week. And we should probably do the proper introduction. Hello, my name's Emma Marshall, and I am MD of Miss Bush, and you are
Leah Spicer-Pownall, and I'm the marketing manager of Miss Bush, and this is the Lovely Job podcast.
because this is such a lovely job running a bridal shop. Everyone is so happy all of the time, which is predominantly true. But there's more shade to it than that. There's more colours in that spectrum of statement. So, so that's actually slightly brings us quite well into our very first topic of the week.
We're going in with quite a big, heavy topic for our first topic, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Right, nerves. I don't think I have ever met anyone coming into Miss Bush for the first time, or a bridal appointment for the first time, that isn't an absolute nervous wreck. And this is, on the one hand, understandable. I mean, bridal, getting married is a big deal. There's no way you can't sugarcoat that and say this is not a big deal. The dress that you pick is the dress that's going to live on in your family photographs and films for generations. So no pressure. It is quite a big deal. However, it doesn't seem to be the deal. It's so traumatizing for some people. They're so nervous and so apprehensive about coming into a bridal shop for the first time that Leah and I thought we would try and unpack some of the reasons why that might be. I mean, Leah, what would you think would be the top reason that you would hear from people?
Probably body issues, confidence.
I mean, body confidence is a big one. And also, I mean, I think the marketing imagery that's put out from all the various different brands and retailers does contribute to that kind of, perfection kind of aesthetic. Like everything is super perfect. And so I think that we haven't got the range of inclusivity or diversity still, even though it's been called for by so many different people in the online bridal space, whether that's Cat Williams at Rock and Roll Bride or Annabelle Beforth at Love My Dress, whether that's been discussed in the wider kind of wedding media or from individual brides, you still don't get that representation. So I think the body image that you still see is uniformly slim, young and sexy. And that's not, even if you happen to be slim, young and sexy, sometimes that's not quite how you want to come across on your wedding day. It doesn't seem the right iteration of you that you want to actually do. So I think that is one of the things that, despite people, I think, great strides in body positivity movement, you still have things like the recent Victoria's Secret show where the diversity was performative at best. So I do think there is still that thing in bridal is that the diversity level is quite performative and doesn't really truly represent the scope of our clients.
Yep.
And why don't you share with everybody about the difficulty we have about getting our own clients' pictures?
Yeah, so we plug all of our brides that send us their weddings. And every month I send out an email to everyone that got married the previous month asking for their wedding photos. We used to get a lot more, but now we're not really getting anywhere near as many. I think probably not even quarter of brides a year share them now. I don't know if they're not feeling like they're not cool enough or interesting enough, or their wedding's just, not what we want, but they all are. They're all amazing. I mean, we do want them all. I think there is still that worry that they have.
Yeah, I mean, if you looked at our Instagram feed, again, it looks fairly uniform. It would suggest that we'd never dressed any same-sex couples, and we've dressed a lot. It would suggest that we haven't dressed many people for like quite religious weddings, and there was a really good reason for that. For example, I know we dress quite a lot of people from quite a strict Christian faith, and simply they won't let us share. I've seen the photos of the weddings, but we are not allowed to share them. Absolutely, point blank. I think there are people who are increasingly disinterested in sharing their imagery on social media, and also our older clients, so people in their maybe 40s and 50s, are less likely to be in that zone of sharing everything in their lives. Can I just divert off here just for a moment on something that I listened to this week, which literally needed so many trigger warnings I couldn't even deal? That I listened to a podcast, a wedding-related podcast. I don't think we will link, actually, but I couldn't believe that they were discussing and normalizing having a wedding photographer, an editorial fashion photographer, and a content creator at a wedding. I mean, like, oh, that's a lot. Do you know what I mean? That is actually designing your wedding for Instagram or for TikTok, which I can see that,
I've seen quite a few of them pop up, like accounts that they are promoting that they are content creators for your wedding, and they come with their iPhones and they just create content for you. So it's really.
Am I too old? Am I too Generation X? Can I just go, ooh?
Yeah, I think it's people that don't know how to make reels and things, they kind of make them for them. So I guess it's like a modern version of having a videographer. I don't know. But yeah, I do.
Or a scribe, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would say that that's...
yeah,
but I think that's where the nerves... You said body to start with, and I'm thinking, I'm discussing, and I think this is like, that is a huge... I'm sure we could spin that out for an entire hour. So basically...
An entire episode.
There is no independent fashion authority now in bridal.
No.
There's no magazines.
I do think so. It's the first time that you're ever really taking your clothes off in front of somebody in a shop environment. Like, you don't usually do that in, if you just go into Zara or whatever, you go and you put your own dress on. But in a bridal shop, there's somebody there that's undressing you and putting the clothes on your body, which is like a new experience for everyone, really. Unless they've had a just made before.
No, it is. And also, I was brought up at a time where communal changing rooms in shops were absolutely normal, where you would be the weirdo if you went to go behind a curtain. I think you would go behind a curtain because you probably, at that time, the only sanitary product that was available to you was a sort of sanitary towel the size of a kind of mattress. So maybe that's why. But then there was a lot of period shaming as well. So I would say that would be quite a reason. But yeah, it is unusual to have to get your clothes off in front of someone. And I've also of late have had a couple of conversations with my brides about this, because I realise that I haven't asked consent, and that seems weird. Like, we asked consent for Ben because Ben is obviously a man, and going into a fitting room with a woman is quite contentious. I mean, I'm sure that Ben won't mind me saying that he very much seems his sexuality is very definitely obvious. So it's very definitely obvious you're going into a fitting room with a gay man, not a straight man. So, but he also does ask, and there are people that find that inappropriate or are uncomfortable with it, and we switch that out for a female assistant. But yeah, that was the other thing that I had. I'm so used to being like, oh, hello, stranger, get your clothes off. No problem there. I see this all the time. And actually realize that maybe people are really very much not used to that. And actually that, I think, particularly the younger generation will have, they're much more articulate, much more emotionally intelligent about consent as well. And probably therefore we're more likely to offend without meaning to, because you have that sort of, this is how it's always been for like 30, 36, nearly 37 years. So that's okay. But yeah, I mean, I think again, so nudity, it's not really nudity. People are in their pants, but we can also offer various different options for that as well. So consent is something that I'm now asking for, even though most people are, yeah, fine, I'm all right. No problem. I don't care. Get my clothes off. But it's not always going to be like that for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think that representation of bodies before you get there, what we're expecting an idealized body of a certain age and size, that the bridal industry hasn't done enough to disavow that. But it's quite hard to, unless you people, my lovely, incredibly diverse clients, all different shapes, sizes and ages and sexualities, actually share your photos with us. I'll be poster
Yes,
girls for
use
this.
this as an opportunity to encourage all of you. If you've already got married, then we want your wedding, we want your photos, we want everybody, because that's it, just to, show you all off.
Yeah, I saw an interesting comment from a bride this week, which was relating to the little aside I did last week about Catherine O'Morod and her wedding dress shop search. And although this was supposed to be a fashion promotion event, it did the absolute polar opposite. It made one bride decide definitely not to go to any of those shops because she basically was like, yeah, I can see I'm not cool enough. I'm not going there. So that is also can be quite difficult, is like marketing imagery having the absolute polar opposite effect of what you're expecting.
Actually putting people off.
Yeah. So yeah, that's quite tricky. So yeah, I think that representation is not all that it could be. But I think also, I mean, if you look about, getting married, what it actually looks like, the social construct that it is. I mean, I just wrote a little bullet point list. Your class affects it, religion, gender, sexuality, your family, your age, your body, as we've just discussed, your friends, peer pressure, pressures of a new family. So if you think about everything, every cultural aspect of our lives, finances as well, it basically has that sort of ability to touch on every single social construct that makes you who you are. So no biggie again. So I think, I know we're not supposed to be talking about class these days. In theory, class war's over, but it really isn't. I mean, nowhere is it more evident in our shop that people are of a certain education, a certain income band, a certain set of beliefs, certain set of personal health philosophies, and quite a lot of those quite class related. So it is quite difficult to shop differently amongst that as well, or to feel uncomfortable when you realise you've walked into somewhere where everything is not talking to your experience or you as a person. And that it's not just class, but it is like your upbringing, your demographic, your friends and family's weddings. So, and it doesn't mean you would go into sort of our shop and expect to be one particular thing or one particular income bracket, but you would understand where you were and feel familiar. And as I say, and I think that's where people go into some shops sometimes and I hear them go, oh my God, it was terrible. And it was like, well, no, somebody else will love it, but it just generally wasn't your place. So, and all of those, gender, class, religion, sexuality, family, age, demographic, all of those things all feed into that shop and what their expectation of how their brides celebrate their weddings and what that looks like in their culture. And, for example, there is, again, a completely mysterious, I don't know anything about Asian wedding industry, that I couldn't tell you where to go to. I wouldn't know who the big players were. I wouldn't know who the designers are. But Asian weddings are beautiful phenomena, but I have no idea about them. It's completely exists separately. Asian wedding apparel completely exists separately from anything I'm aware of. So I think that's one of the things as well. So when brides are considering this, I think that what I've just said can make you feel quite nerve-wracked. But you've also got to think that like there isn't that trope of the pretty woman shop bitch. I don't think it exists. Now, people can tell me otherwise, and I'm really happy to hear comments about that. But I think that what happens is in either reality TV, whether it's on Say Yes to the Dress, you get like highly camp, flamboyant shop assistants, which don't really exist in real life. On some of the other reality things, like Don't Tell the Bride and things like that, you'll quite often get a sort of quite mumsy, not super fashionable bridal shop. And then you'll have things like bride wars, bridesmaids, pretty woman kind of tropes of like skinny, well-dressed arch bitches who are literally there to like criticize your lifestyle choices and judge you when you shit in the road. Anyway, so basically, so there is also that I think so. I can see all of those things bearing down on someone when they come in, and I can see that is
Yeah,
quite
can I just say,
nerve-wracking.
like, I know a lot of bridal shop owners, and you do as well, and I can't think of one that is that bridal shop bitch. Like, I really don't think there are any. Like, I just can't think of one. Like, they don't exist really.
Oh no, I really wish I could be super erudite here now. And obviously you can hear I'm full of cold. But there is a famous quote is like, no one can make you feel bad without your permission. So I think that sometimes it's that concept. If you're going into somewhere and you're already in that mindset, something innocuous or something someone else says should make you feel that way. But I think there's also
Yeah.
needs to be a little bit of ownership on the behalf of anyone going into that situation, whether it's a bride or a mum or whatever, being like,
Mm.
you know, to make me feel bad about myself, I've got to be complicit, which is like, but I know that myself. Do you know what I mean? I would be like, oh, I think I'm old enough now to think, well, why did I feel like that? So I breeze into shops now, like I'm expecting everyone to serve me and look after me, and because that's their job. And I absolutely did that when I got the my Loewe sunglasses in the summer. I went into the main store in Barcelona, and I was like, this is amazing. This is fantastic. How much? I thought I'm going to come out for maximum 200 quid sunglasses at the absolute most. But no, I'm thoroughly enjoying myself. I'm going to look at everything, touch everything. I'm going to be super nice to the people. I'm going to ask for the wine that people that are spending a fortune having. It's like literally, I want to enjoy myself in this experience. And when you do, you actually have the best time. And I think that that's possibly, again, but me, like 20 years ago, I'd feel like an imposter. I can't really afford anything in here. I'm not the person that should be in here. I'm not one of these super wealthy American or Japanese tourists that are going out loaded down with bags. But I swear to God, most
Yep.
people will be taking their money on brands like that, on the 200 quid sunglasses, because that's why everyone does it. That's why they do sunglasses and makeup, to actually make their money. So, yeah.
That would be me. I would be that you 20 years ago going into a big shop like that. I'd be like, please don't speak to me. Nobody come near me. I'm just looking. I just wouldn't have that confidence.
Do you know, I do think post-menopause, your shame goes. And it's maybe when you start turning a bit old lady and your frontal cortex slightly starts to harden because you just don't care so much. You honestly just don't care. And I just think, well, these people are here. And I really love it myself when I can be of absolute use and service to the people that come into my shop. I love it. That's what my job's for. My job is there not to be a wanker and just be like, oh, yeah, don't you understand my taste? I'm really sorry. It's like, I can grandiose myself around as much as I like, but effectively, when I'm actually working in my shop, I'm a shop assistant. That's my job. I'm there to serve to the clients that come before me. Do you know what I mean? At other points in my time, I can be a bit like, I can be a bit lofty, but I'm trying to be an MD or a marketing person. But my actual day-to-day job is like, I'm here to help you put your shoes on, to button your dress up,
Yep.
to fluff your train up, to do your hair, like a lady's maid. Do you know what I mean? That's my actual job, and I actually love it. It's service, and that service industry thing is like maybe doesn't get the kind of credit it needs. But and in terms of like meeting people that like tick differently in that list of social constructs, I also think over like 30 plus years of doing what I've done, I am able to like segue between those kind of things quite readily, to try and realize if people don't get a reference or they don't understand something or they suddenly feel they're slightly out of their comfort zone financially. Then my job is not to be snobby and dismissive or try and dumb something down. It's to comfortably bring people back into their comfort zone. So yeah, but as I say, I think that conversation can be had ahead of time. And you know, there's so many ways you can be in touch with us ahead of an appointment. But I also think nerves are not all bad. That nerves are exciting. Nerves make you do things that you don't want to do and challenge you. And I think also it's very quickly apparent in our place how quickly the nerves go as well. So I think,
Yeah, you said that before, haven't you? They'll turn up nervous, and then by the end of the appointment, they're strutting about.
if I was
Instantly.
able to share photos of, like, people quite often want us to take photos of them in dresses, which will be an entire hours long podcast, with diagrams and pictures. But you can see a visible body language difference between photograph one and the last photograph, where people are comfortable in themselves. It's really
There is
lovely.
this photo project that this photographer did, and it was photos of women before and after being told they're beautiful, and you can see the light in their faces afterwards. It'd be interesting to do that, a bride when they first arrive, and then after they've tried on all the dresses, just to see how much lighter she looks.
I wonder if somebody's got to give me permission, even if it's after they get married, because I can't. People can't. One phrase that people always say as well is like, "Oh, my photos are always so hideous. I was terrible in photos. I don't know what to do. I'm gonna stiff." Ugh. And you can see everybody draw their chin back into their neck, their shoulders rise up. They try to look down the camera, and I'm like, so one of the first things that I do is like, you don't look at me, look out the door, look out, get light on your face, move around. Obviously, having been on one photo shoot with Ben Wheeler, obviously I'm clearly an expert in like the highest level of bridal photography, but I mean, he never had the model still ever. So I'm like, walk, move that skirt, do that, run there, go there, do that, swirl, move the skirt. So actually, if people then just like crack up laughing, and then you get the shot, and I show them a picture and be like, look how great you look here. And I always say, if I could put you on Instagram right now, I would do. And everyone's extremely happy, because basically what they don't want is a photo of them looking like a bag of nerves. What they want is some kind of glimpse of what they're going to look like on their wedding day. And that's a completely different thing. It's also a completely different podcast episode.
I would love to make a reel of just, the dress in the shop and the dress on the wedding day on each bride, and just showing them. That'd be a really great thing to make. If any brides would like to do that, then let me know.
We need people that've got a fairly short like order time from. In fact, I think I probably have got some. We got tagged by someone. Did you see yesterday on the Ginebra dress, Sophia Voila?
No, I didn't. I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, but I know that I've got her pictures from not very long ago. She only ordered it a couple of months ago.
Another thing that could cause nerves, I guess, is family, and knowing how they're going to react, and having to take them with you, and mums and all that sort of.
Well, so I feel like this is a really good, because we've talked about putting you in the spotlight on this one, because congratulations, it was your 10th wedding anniversary this week.
It was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tin.
Tin. Yes.
Tin.
I bought tin-themed everything for the present. Everything came in a tin. There was a tin with some perfume in it. There is a tin with some D&D dice. There was a tin of biscuits, and there were some socks with Heinz beans tins on them. I went crazy with the tin theme.
Oh, amazing. Well, but it's quite interesting, because you were working for Miss Bush 10 years ago, but you eloped. And you didn't come for a wedding dress appointment. So talk us through your nerves and why that happened.
Okay, so there are a few reasons why we decided to elope. First one was quite a boring, like, logistical thing of not knowing who to invite. So the guest list thing was very difficult, and we started writing lists, and then we were just like, you know what, let's not invite anyone. Let's just go and just do it. One Friday when everyone's at work, we'll just go into the city centre and do it. So we did that. And a lot of it as well was, avoiding situations that I knew would be disappointing. So I I didn't really want to go dress shopping because I knew that my mum probably wouldn't want to come with me because she's not that kind of person. And also on the day, my dad wouldn't have wanted to give me away or do a speech or any of that kind of stuff because he's also not that kind of person. Blogging weddings a lot, I always see these kind of photos of, choked up dads on the wedding morning and all the speeches and all that. And I was just like, I'm not going to get any of that. So I'm going to avoid it, avoid feeling disappointed. And just, when you get the mums in the shops and they're all like, oh, look how beautiful you are. Again, that's the expectation that people have. And I knew I wouldn't get that. So I just kind of avoided it. And it did turn out to be perfect for us. We walked into the city centre. We had just my best friend and her partner there as our witnesses. And then we went to the club, played board games, had a little afternoon tea, and then we went home. And it was lovely. And I'm still glad that we did it.
I know, and I do think it's almost like the perfect example of when people criticize us a little bit and we're like, oh, you're this, and this. It's like, you don't have to do anything with any of us. You don't have to come wedding dress shopping. You don't need a wedding. You don't need any of it to have a perfectly happy and successful wedding day, which leads to 10 years of marriage, which you then get a pair of socks with beads on.
Yes, I do wish I'd had a proper wedding dress. Like, I would love to have had one. But again, I couldn't decide what to do, and I ended up ordering a dress from ASOS 2 days before, and it was delivered the day before the wedding, and it was fine. I don't love it. I wasn't mad about it. It was just, I couldn't decide.
Weirdly, though, there is a little bit of a parallel with my wedding to Marshy, isn't there? Because it was like, I didn't really have a wedding dress shopping experience because I have a wedding dress shop. So both times I've been married, I haven't had a wedding dress shop experience. I mean, I had a very privileged experience. I was like, drive to Suzanne's kind of studio and get her to kind of make me something. But again, it only arrived 2 or 3 days before my wedding. My mum, it's not that she didn't think the dress was nice or that me getting married to Marshy is nice. I mean, I think, her having Marshy as part of our family is like the greatest thing about my wedding. But it didn't really feel like a wedding, again, in the same way that I see them. And I think both you and I had really good, despite the fact of it being an elopement or a secret wedding in my case, we both have really good photographers. So weirdly enough, it looks way more spectacular than it does because we've got great photos. So
true.
I think that's kind of speaks volumes, doesn't it? It's like, but I didn't have. I think oh my God, I've been invited to a school reunion, and I realised that I really messed up in my younger years and really didn't work on my female friendships. So it's probably quite a good idea I had something like this because I don't think I could muster 10 friends to tell me I look nice in a dress either, or have that kind of dress reveal to bridesmaids who gave a fuck. I just don't think I have that. And partly that's my problem because I definitely did the wrong things when I was a teenager.
I have that too. Exactly the same.
Yeah. So I should have been a better person, but anyway, I wasn't. So I'm working on my female friendships now. So I don't know if we've given people any real highlights in what they should do to not be nervous, or whether we've just normalized the feeling of nerves.
Yeah, I think we've just kind of shown them it's normal, and even as we're in the industry and we still have it too. Like, it's not just them.
But I did say to a girl this week that I was going to talk about this, and I think that what I would like them to think of me is like cabin crew in turbulence. You go in there and basically imagine that you're experiencing turbulence, and just look at me. If I'm not crying or like reaching for the kind of emergency kind of, under your seat backpack oxygen mask, then it's fine. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm your, I'm Emma, fly with me. Your dress is here, here, and here. But yeah, that is
you're the barometer for how things are going.
Yeah, absolutely. So, right.
And can I just say, we are at 30 minutes.
Oh my God.
30 minutes.
Oh no.
We've
Okay.
spoke the whole episode about nerves. We've got so many other topics.
Well,
we might have to do 2 this week.
This is good. This means we will never run out of content. despite me
Although,
just being shady about people having content creators at their wedding.
do you want to do 10 minutes on a subject that you wanted to talk about?
So we've got our Suzanne Neville Designer Day coming up this weekend, which is super exciting. Plans are in overdrive for this. And it's a bit like, it's not just the Designer Day that's good, but it also makes me go into every dark corner in the chapel where we've hoarded things all year and sort it out. I feel like everyone gets annoyed, particularly Corinne. She's like, we've got a Designer Day at the end of the week. Why are you making me do this? It's because it feels like spring cleaning, but in the autumn. Anyway, so we go into every corner. Everything looks beautiful. Everything is merchandised correctly. And we have Sophie Duckworth coming to take photos. Who's the queen of all photos for this kind of event. So everything needs to look beautiful everywhere. I need to look great, which is why I've had a new haircut. And I've ordered a dress. But so we've got a designer day this weekend for Suzanne Neville. So I'm going to use Suzanne Neville as a really good example of the difference between flagship stores and stockists. So Suzanne Neville, as everyone knows, national treasure, corset queen, beloved designer of many, many Miss Bush brides, many brides nationwide. So she has her head shop in Knightsbridge, which is great. She also has another satellite shop in Cheshire, which is also fabulous. And obviously, because we're not very far from her Knightsbridge store, it would seem a bit bonkers that we would have a similar product on offer that she's got, but 20 miles away. And how does that work? Why should somebody buy from us rather than order from Suzanne Neville directly? So I'm going to leave Suzanne Neville to do their own marketing. I'm not even going to discuss why you should get it from them. What I'm going to focus on is why you should buy them from us. Now, I think that, firstly, independent retailers have a very independent point of view. I think we can see quite clearly what designers' strengths are and what their weaknesses are. So we will buy an edited collection of what we know their strongest looks, their best silhouettes, and their most flexible designs are. Now, when I say flexible, there's two things here. So with Suzanne Neville, it is like playing with a little Lego character. You can pull the body apart and you can put the top on the other legs. So even that might feel quite weird. It's just no more difficult than wearing a pair of jeans with two different tops. So a basic thing that you can do with Suzanne Neville is you can have one top on a variety of shape skirts. And that's something we do day in, day out for people. So we don't need to buy every single dress that she does to be able to offer people a full range of silhouettes and designs, because we can be like, this top, this skirt. So we offer that level of flexibility from them. And also you have the flexibility of buying what I would call a very simple neutral base dress from us, from Suzanne Neville, which could be quite a simple strapless. It could be quite a simple plain slim dress or a simple plain big dress. And then the Miss Bush team do what the Miss Bush team do well, which is act as your stylist, which means that we might be adding sleeves, tops, jackets, veils, you name it, completely different sorts from the portfolio of the rest of our designers that we stock, so that you get less of a straight down the line flagship store look. You haven't been dressed head to toe in that one designer's point of view. So it gives you a more eclectic, and I would argue a more personal look at what that person does well. I would also say that there are other designers that do accessories and fashiony bits better than Suzanne. But I would say there isn't anyone that creates a corset dress better than she does. So, and I think that's their focus of their brand, which is to absolutely nail that dipped in liquid fabric, left out to dry, injection molded perfection. And so we have Joe that works at us, who is has the experience in couture bridal wear, from wholesale side to working in all the best brands, Browns and Philippa Lepley's, and defunct label Caroline Parks, who literally her sole job is to make the Suzanne Neville dresses fit like they do, as if they came out of flagship. Technically perfect. She's in a constant conversation with the team at Suzanne. However, then you get rogues like me and Ben who don't know how to do that at all, but boy, do we know how to put a cool cape on something, or some excellent sleeves, or we can throw a really good hairdo together, or we're like, oh my God, I saw this thing on Lady Gaga. You totally need this to go with this dress. So what we've got is a kind of more diverse styling experience, but we also have the same technical expertise. And then another really good reason to buy from us is it's easy. We're like so easy to access from everywhere. You can drive right up outside our door. You don't have to take your dress on a tube or in a cab. You can park. You wheelchair access, pram access in. It's very, very easy to do. So it's a kind of easy access location. We're like really close to the A3, M25. We're about a 25-minute drive out of Wandsworth, SW postcodes. So it's easy. It's probably easier to get to us than it is to get to Knightsbridge. And it's certainly easier to park. It's easier to pick up your dress. So there is that kind of ease of access, which I think is also really, really good. And also we don't bother having the stuff that our clients don't like. So we don't really do well with sparkly things. We don't really do well with plungy, sexy things. There are certain looks that don't fly with our clients. So although I think sometimes people think that Flagship has got a choice, has got a choice, but it's giving me quite a lot of choice of things that you probably don't even want. So it's quite, and it's also, I think, really amazing if you want to invest in a Suzanne Neville dress to be able to physically compare and contrast them with other brands in the flesh. So you know what you're getting. And we can really explain that to you. And I always have another kind of concept, which is like, if you want to mix and match dresses, it's great. So for one designer, you can do the top of one and the skirt of another. And then you can go crazy on the restyle, but you can never expect to cross, say, like the top of a Suzanne Neville with the bottom of a Jesus Perrin. So where I've used the Lego analogy, as long as you're mixing Lego with Lego and Duplo with Duplo, it's all fine. What you don't want to do is try and put a Duplo top on a Lego skirt or vice versa. So, but me as a technical person, I can walk you through that so that we know if you're going to make a custom or like blended dress, that you can do it, knowing that I've got you on that. So yeah, those are my top reasons why it's really good to buy from a stockist as opposed to a flagship, and in particular why it's really good to buy from Spish. Oh my God, that sounds like marketing.
It did. It was great. I think I'm gonna like take notes and write that down.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's great because you walk out as a Miss Bush Suzanne Neville bride, and it's so much more unique that you're completely own version of the dress rather than just how it looks on the shop in Knightsbridge.
And without sacrificing any of the expertise or the fit. I really need to add that because Jo is as expert as anyone in fitting the calico intermediate fittings and then tweaking and fine-tuning the dresses. So we have that 100% technical expertise in-house as well. We just got our own way of doing it.
Yeah, I think so many brides, they all add to it as well, don't they? You don't really get many that just have the dress as it is.
I think
I could make a whole post out of ones that had added sleeves and capes and jackets and all sorts.
I think if a bride truly wanted to like look like she just stepped off Suzanne Neville's Instagram, styled exactly with that makeup, with that hair, everything, then maybe the flagship would be the place for them. But I would say that most of our clients really appreciate the cut, structure, and fit of the Neville dresses, but want to bring their own thing to it. Perhaps less polished, slightly less of that look, and more of their own look. Maybe more relaxed, maybe more eclectic.
Amazing.
Right.
Great. Okay, what's your final topic that you want to cover? We're at 40 minutes, so we can maybe squeeze in one more because 50 is our sweet spot now, I think.
Okay. Right. I'm going to do two things that are kind of going to blend into one. Only because people have said funny things to me this week. So we can all hear in my voice I don't sound very well. I have felt absolutely rotten this week. Completely rotten. And in the whole like lovely job thing, that people go, well, this must be a lovely job. Everyone's so happy. This week I have literally been going into work. I'm like, ginger and lemon teas. Like there's been Eurofens. I've been trying to throw satsumas down my face to give myself vitamin D. Like alternating paracetamol, Nurofen. It's like I felt so ill. One of my brides said to me yesterday, bear in mind I did a 4 o'clock appointment yesterday on a Sunday. She was like, I'd rather have your germs than you cancel the appointment. So I was like, I know, and that's why I've done it. So it is really hard to get into us. And I've seen so many people. So I'm going to apologize. I could be like, they call it patient zero or something, or typhoid Mary. That could actually be me this week.
Typhoid Mary.
Yeah, I feel like I can only apologise if I've infected people, but everyone looked robustly healthy and didn't have any underlying health issues, so I'm okay. This is not like a Downing Street party sitch. So basically, I've had to go in and because I've been super ill. And one of the lovely things about the lovely job is not being able to take a day sick, because it is a great job to have. So before anyone decides to kind of cash in their pension or take their redundancy pay and set up a bridal shop, being ill means you've got no choices. There is physically no one that could have taken my place. And if I'd had to cancel the amount of brides I'd seen, I don't know where they'd go, because we're also fully booked all the way through November and through quite a lot of December. So I simply couldn't have put those people back in the diary somewhere else. And I would lose any opportunity to have those people as clients. So I have to go regardless.
Yeah.
So lovely as the job is, that does involve a fair amount of self-sacrifice. And Leah just had to give me a break, which I'm hoping she's edited out, where I was allowed to sniff and cough for
You
this.
could do a sniff and a cough.
Yeah, I know. And even Marshy just said to me, "You're not going to go and record the podcast, are you?" I was like, "Yeah, I am. Yes, I am. Come hell or high water."
I think it just highlights as well what a small team Miss Bush is.
Yeah,
Like, it literally
for a
is
big
just
company, it's a small team. Yeah. But there was a really funny mum that I was talking to. He said to me, I wonder if it's COVID. She's going, "Oh, well, the only people that take COVID day test now are the people that want to take a day off." Which I thought was immensely cynical and really quite funny. But it did. Well, I have found myself, and I will finish like on a little bit of little bit of mum chat on this one, and then I'll finish on my bowl cut thing. So, mums this week, I have found myself. I can't remember what it was yesterday, or it's all a bit blurred. But the mums and I were having such a good chat. I realised that we just left a bride standing in a dress. I was like, "Oh yeah, back to your wedding, and not just me and your mum." But there is a problem with me becoming like the same age as all the brides' mums. Is that we're just absolutely having a complete hoot about our past, about when we got married, what we did, how this was happening, what we're wearing, what we're not wearing, our relationships with our daughters, which is great. But I am realizing that somehow like there's some very, very kind of like big character mums bringing big character mum energy. So yeah, maybe your nerves were right, Leah. Maybe actually you can't get a word in edgeways if you've got big character mums. Anyway.
Well, maybe we need to do, when we did that Mother of the Bride event years ago, maybe we need another one of those, like a networking with Emma, Mother of the Bride event.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you could just chat with them all.
Sit in a corner and talk about, but like at least 2 mums had hangovers as well. I mean, literally, like one had been out to a party to 2 the previous morning. Yeah. And then somebody, I can't remember, was just like, "Yes, go girls." I mean, it's like the Golden Girls,
I know,
but they
that's what I'm
got caught.
saying.
Yeah.
What I was saying about you, you're always doing things. That's just your generation, isn't it? You're all out partying.
Out, yeah. Because
Meanwhile, I'm at home knitting.
Yeah. Well, that's also, I don't really know how to do any of the online gaming or anything. Do you know what I mean? I'd have a fairly limited kind of like access to something if it wasn't IRL. And also like my mum this week, I had to stay with my mum for 2 nights. And so I've actually had to watch terrestrial telly, like the programs as they come on the channels that are original. And it's like, God, how does anybody survive? So I am like, definitely, there's a generational difference in that. Anyway, so one last thing. How long have I got?
You've got 4 minutes.
Okay, 4 minutes. Right, everyone, if you're watching on YouTube, I've got a new haircut. It's now, I'd say it's a sort of bowl cut, but you can't see with my headphones, but after Sophie's done my pictures, you'll see. New haircut. The mixie has gone. So the mullet crossed with a pixie cut has gone. And I keep using the mixie cut as another example for brides. When you go to a wedding dress appointment, a lot of shops will use, "Come on, you need to order. Is it the one? Is it the one?" And I had to like stop a client friends yesterday, day before Friday, could have been any of those days, saying, "You like this dress better than the first one, this than the first one, about the same." I was like, stop it, shush, stop. Because you're basically working on that old school thing, is that if you try on every dress in the world, one will have a kind of like star above it, going, "Whoa," like this is your dress with a big, like arrow and a big finger pointing down from heaven to this dress. It's like, it's absolute nonsense. So it doesn't, what you have to do to be able to get the dress of your dreams is you have to actually learn how to have a much better vocabulary for describing what it is you want. And if you allow that dumbing down of the vocabulary to be, is it the one? It always looks tiny. Is it the one? You like this? You want to fit and flare? God, I mean, literally, you just don't have enough language to ask for what you want. It literally is like, but firstly, fit and flare, that needs to be a word or phrase that goes into room 101. Like, nobody uses that except for Chinese manufacturers. But it's like, do you need to develop your vocabulary? And I had a bride yesterday who I definitely was talking with this, who was like, she said that we allowed her to give her the space to discover what she wanted and the ability to describe what she wanted. And therefore, you have the language to ask for what you need. And that is the pixie / mixie / mullet thing, is I asked for a mixie and it wasn't the haircut I wanted. So I've had to carry around a mixie now for like 3 or 4 months, which wasn't the haircut I wanted, but I picked up the wrong phrase off the internet. And it was like, yeah, it's definitely what I want, is a mixie. But that would be like someone asking for a fit and flare, and I'm like, I don't think you do. So basically, I think learning to speak and to find the vocabulary to speak about what you want in bridal is incredibly important.
I've noticed actually a lot of brides say going for a dress fitting when they mean a first appointment. A fitting is when you have your dress fitted, but they actually call it a fitting when it's actually just going to try them on.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that it kind of shows the vocabulary that isn't quite right.
Yeah, there needs to be a much bigger lexicon of, kind of phrases available to people. But it is
ages ago. I was going to write an A to Z, a glossary of bridal terms. It was on my list for years, and I never did it. Maybe I should do that.
Yeah, I feel like I think it's quite important, but the thing is some of the stuff is kind of, even when you've got the language to describe what you want effectively, and it gets put on you and you've got to be able to also then say, oh no, that isn't really what I wanted actually, and also to not feel difficult, like we all do when we go to the hairdressers and be like, oh bollocks, this pixie isn't what I wanted. That's not to say you haven't cut
and then you
it
say
nicely.
you liked it anyway, even though you're crying inside.
Yeah, and absolutely. And I think that part of also learning the language of asking what you want for in bridal is to say no sensitively, and also to complain, not complain exactly, but to correct with compassion, to feedback with compassion. Because if you've asked for something and that stylist has put it on you and it looks bad, you both need to have a shared language that you both understand, to how to remedy that. So that's my mixie top tip of the week. Don't ask for a mixie if you don't got one. Right, my throat's about to give up now. I feel like that's...
Yes, you need a lemsip.
Yeah, I do.
And you need a whole soother.
Holes do that. And also, can I just say, like, cherry tunes are not tunes anymore. They're called halls. So, but I've just had like a cherry tune, one of those things that helps you breathe. And it was like a Proustian moment, took me back to my childhood when you'd want to be ill because you could get some tunes because they were like sweet.
I don't think they've been called tunes for quite some time now.
I could do the advert. It was an advert from the 70s where somebody goes, I want a first class ticket to Nottingham, please. Basically, and then they have a tune and they're like, I'd like a first class ticket to Nottingham, please. So that was basically supposed to be
I think I remember that. I don't think it's that old.
I don't
Well, you're going to be going to the shops looking for a marathon bar next, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Instead of a Snickers.
What? Don't tell me. Right, we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.